Hey, good morning. Today is Friday, June the 21st of 2019. And for me, it's 5:23 in the AM, and this is my life. Yesterday was it was a great day. Got to work. We're doing inventory right now, which is not my usual job, and it was a pretty laid back, easy day. Inventory was wrapping up. One thing that I will say is that sometimes you go through, you hit a spell where you just kind of have to relax and not take life so seriously. And this past week, I've been taking my diet, my eating, not like that I'm on a diet, but that my eating, I haven't been taking it that serious. They've been feeding us really good at work. And I've been eating a lot of not exactly the healthiest of foods. Um, Usually I try to eat rather minimal when I'm at work, and I allow myself, like one decent meal a day, or one traditional meal, rather, I should say. But yeah, this past week I've just been eating way too much, and now I'm going on vacation. I'm supposed to leave in a couple hours to go on a trip, and it'll be a long car ride, and with 6 kids and my wife, so it'll be an adventure for sure. And I'm going to try really hard to not continue the gluttonous nature that I've partaked in of the last, you know, 4 days. So, you know, I'll be honest, going on these trips is not something that's in my nature. Um, I would much rather, take a staycation and work around the house. I have an old house and with all the kids, between our kids and the daycare kids and the daycare parents, stuff inevitably breaks down, and so I'm constantly having to work on things, and uh, but it's so we're leaving for a little bit, and I don't know. I guess it'll be what it'll be, and I know at times like this, I just really have to focus on loving. You know, you I'm a very schedule and ritual oriented person, and to go on vacation completely disrupts that. So it's like, okay, I need to take my normal everyday hat on and put on a different hat, and that is the hat of a 24/7, loving father, which in the sense of usually I got to work and I'm not surrounded by my kids all day. And so I come home, and like coming home is a break from work, and so it's easy to come home and want to hug and, play with my kids and stuff. And I know that being in a car with them all day is going to really push the limit, and it's going to push me out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to be tempted to be cranky and grouchy. But since I know that going into it, I'm just going to really focus on trying to love them and serve them, because really that's what, in my opinion, that's what dad is about. You know, it's about providing, yes, but and more root of that, providing is a direct relation to serving. And so, in my opinion, if you want to be a great husband, if you want to be a great father, uh, you need to be willing to serve 24/7. Now, that isn't to say that you shouldn't have me time, you shouldn't take breaks. I'm a big believer in that. I'm a big believer in trying to have regular dates with my wife. Um, I'm a big believer in having alone time, as long as it doesn't sacrifice the goals of the household. I think it's important to rest and relax, and maybe like one of the things that I do as a ritual for me is um, I get off work, I stop by my church on the way home, and I stop in for usually about 10-15 minutes, and I say some prayers, and I just sit in silence and I allow that peace to come over me, and I open my heart, and with my prayers and what I read while I'm there, which is very short, I try to allow God into my heart and try to let Him speak to me, even though sometimes my life is so crazy and at any given day that it's kind of hard to hear. But I think trying to find quiet time, little vacations like that is great. So that this is going to be interesting, because I read the Liturgy of the Hours, and if you're not familiar, then it's a set of prayers that deacons and priests and even bishops and cardinals and even the Pope, they take an oath that they will pray these, and essentially you're praying every couple of hours, and it's for the most part it's really short. Your morning and your evening ones are maybe a tad bit longer, but they're really short, and it just helps you to refocus. And those prayers, I found, I get to do them on break times at work, and so it helps me to constantly refocus. Okay, let's come back here. This is what it's all about. Let's come back here. It's about serving. It's about loving. It's about caring about yourself so that you can care for others. There's just so much in these prayers that I get out of. And so it's going to probably be a little tricky to do that, especially if the car gets a little rowdy at times. But I find it immensely helpful. I'm by no means a perfect man. I am not a perfect man by any means. Many times, there's not a day I can't, I can't help but turn around and be like, wow, I could have done that better. But I will admit this, I am better. I'm a better man today than I used to be. And I think that's important too, to always, to exercise and to always try to be at your physical best. I'm not a bodybuilder by any means, but I'm always trying to work, exercise, and with my diet, to be, be as good as I possibly can be, that I have the energy and the aptitude for. I try to constantly learn. I think, even, and to regularly try to listen to ideas that I don't agree to. Because it's real easy to get, especially in this polarized culture we live in, to get sucked into an echo chamber. But for me, I feel like if I regularly listen to even opinions that I disagree with, it helps me to understand opposing views. It helps me to stay connected with other ideas and other points of view. And it helps me to have compassion rather than if I were to just hunker down in my own, trench. And then, I become more detached from other points of view, and, I just think that's unhealthy. Emotionally, I try to work on my relationships constantly. Spiritually, I'm always trying to try and connect with God and His teachings to be the best man that I can be. And not just for my own sake, but for His sake, I've been blessed with an amazing life. I could easily complain about 1,000,001 things, but at the end of the day, I have a lot more than most people do. And I'm by no means rich by American standards. Definitely not rich. But I don't know. So just going through this next, period where I'll be on vacation and try to become, it's like, it's almost kind of like I see it as an exercise in training. It's like, okay, you do good in your regular nature. Now we're going to drop into a completely different scenario and try to continue to grow amidst the challenges of being in a completely different environment. Just, I guess, building and growing and becoming stronger. And that's all I gotta say about that.